Thank you, Mr. Acting President. I rise to speak on this particular motion today, and I want to put out an appeal to members of all sides of this House on behalf of the people of Victoria. Because the great mass of people in the suburbs and in regional Victoria, they see us in here and they think we're all crooks. They think we're all they think we're all shysters. That's exactly what they think. That's exactly what they think we are. Do you reckon today's helped that at all? Does anybody think that the front page of today's Age helped with that, or helped dismiss that perception? Does anybody think that the way that the Andrews government has bent the rules, broken the rules, rorted vast sums of money, does anybody think that that changes the perception that Victorians have about their political leaders? In this House, in the other House, does anybody think that what we have seen from the Andrews government, and today even from the Guy opposition, does anybody think that has helped our perception in the general community? Not a hope. Not a chance. It's just confirmed what the overwhelming majority of people think. I wanted to make an appeal today to members of this House. We have to get our act together. We have to stop carrying on like this. You know, I can't believe, I couldn't believe when I read this morning what was going on in the opposition leader's office, where the opposition leader was actually aware of what was going on, came out and said there's nothing to see here, there's absolutely nothing wrong here, but I've accepted his resignation anyway. Pretty odd. I mean, if nothing has gone wrong, if nothing is odd, if nothing is out of place, why, A, would somebody offer their resignation, and B, why would it be accepted? Very strange, very strange. But of course, it's minuscule by comparison with what the Andrews government has done in terms of corruption over the past 8 years. This is undoubtedly the most corrupt government this state has ever seen, and one of the most corrupt governments this nation, Australia-wide, has ever seen. This is a government that stinks. It stinks to high heaven. And we don't know, and we won't know until perhaps a Royal Commission is held when this government is finally turfed out. We won't know exactly how many hands were in how many pockets and how many bags of money were passed around to those beneficiaries of that cash. We won't know that. We won't know that probably until this government is well gone. Now, my view is that the sooner that happens, the better. But unfortunately, today has not helped the cause, because now, as a result of what's happened in Mr. Guy's office, as a result of what Mr. Guy has allowed to happen in his office, and in fact was acutely aware happened in his office, we have a situation here where the Labor Party are let off the hook. They're let off the hook for all their corruption, all their shysterism, red shirts and rorts and all the numerous cases of corruption that we can talk about. They have been let off the hook because now the people of Victoria are saying, you lot are all the same. You lot are all the same. And that is a tragedy for Victoria. That is a tragedy for Victoria, and that is something that every one of us, I suppose, has to have some degree of responsibility for. You know, we have to, as I said earlier, we have to get fair income about how we do our jobs here. The overwhelming majority of people come in here and we do work hard, and we do care about our constituents, and we do care about our electorates, and we do care about those issues that we've come in here to fight for. But there are some but there are some who are dodgy, to say the least, and they give us all a bad name. And they're on both sides. They're on both sides of the fence. As, you know, there's no need to try and point the finger either way, because they're on both sides, and that is something that perhaps the people across Victoria have to realise that we're not all like that at all. In fact, it's a very small group who are playing games, who are rorting the system, who are taking us all for a ride. I mean, you know, we're being members here are being taken for a ride as much as the taxpayer in Gladstone Park or in Geelong. The members here, you know, we come in here in good faith, and when we see our leaders carrying on the way they are carrying on, well, we're tempted to feel the same way as the great mass of Victorians. We're tempted to have very little faith in them, very little faith in them. And that, you know, if we as members of Parliament cannot have faith in our leadership, how are the people of Victoria supposed to feel? How are they supposed to throw their support behind political leaders? How indeed, how indeed. I think it's sad. It's a very, very sad day when we get to this point. And it need not have happened. It need not have happened. And you know, Mr. Guy, I have to say, has a fair bit to answer for on this occasion. Not as much as Mr. Andrews, not by a stretch, but certainly Mr. Guy has a number of questions that he needs to answer. He needs to look into the barrel of the camera, and he needs to answer. Because until he does, the great mass of people out there, and indeed the great mass of people in here, will not be able to have the confidence in him that he requires to become Premier of the state. Hasn't got long. The election is not far away. So I would urge him to do that, to take that on now, to answer those questions, to try and reclaim the faith of Victorians before it is too late. Before it is too late. I would like to think one day that we would have a government and an opposition that would not participate in the sort of shysterism that we've seen. I would like to think, I would like to hope, I would almost like to pray. I prayed once, I got thrown out of the Liberal Party for that, so I won't do it again. I won't do it again. But I would like to pray that we will one day have political leadership in this state that we can have faith in, that we will know is doing the right thing by us and by everyone else. I would like to think, to hope, to pray that we will have a Premier and an opposition leader who are there for the right reasons. We don't at the moment. That's the truth of the matter. We don't at the moment. Because we know that Daniel Andrews and Matthew Guy are both there for the same reason. Because they both want to be Premier. Got huge egos, both of them. Couldn't fit them in the same room, I wouldn't have thought. But they are there for exactly the same reasons. And unfortunately, those reasons include themselves. And that is a very sad fact, a very sad fact, a fact that I think the people of Victoria have worked out some time ago. So I would hope that one day soon the people of Victoria would once again be able to have faith in their elected leaders, the sort of faith that they had in Bolte, the sort of faith that they had in John Cain, Senior, perhaps Junior to a degree. I would like to think that people of Victoria would be able to actually look forward to an election knowing that their leaders are there for the right reason. I would like to think that will happen. I'd like to think it will happen soon. I don't have a great deal of faith that it will, given the political leadership that both sides have put up prior to this election. Mr. Acting President, I support this motion. but I ask the House to take into consideration the words that I've uttered this afternoon.